But I have a math problem. So you're given a candle for your shift, one candle. This candle would burn for only 6 hours. What's the problem?
Work a 10-hour shift.
Boingo, Silver Star students. So you'd be working a 10-hour shift, meaning you'd be in the pitch dark for 4 hours. We're about to see what that would look like.
Tombstone Consolidated Mines Company.
Yeah.
The old-time mining equipment. Film video, that's it.
You're allowed to go into the mine, yeah. Hi. Welcome.
You got our tickets?
Well, I got the email.
Yeah. We're going down the mine where they actually mine the gold, or the silver out, apparently. It's about anywhere between 60 and 70 steps we're hearing down into the ground to see the mine. So we'll take you along.
Nothing down there.
Goat and a pig. There's some goats and a pony. Oh, an alpaca. And a pig. Got an alpaca, Barbie. Over on the other side. And anybody that didn't know why we got excited over alpacas, we used to farm alpacas. Had a bunch of them at one time. They're just a great little animal to raise. The Tombstone.
Yeah, there you go, there you go. Well, yet we're going to talk a little bit more about him because he is the man with the plan, eh? He is the founder of our town. He's the prospector that found all our beautiful silver, and then a miner would mine it out. I'd be remiss to not tell y'all that the Earps came here for silver. Did you know that? Drop the mic, say, what? None of us would be here without him, Ed Shefflin. So he came from Pennsylvania. His father was an original 49er. In 1849, kids, there was a gold rush in California, but yet he was brave, determined and committed to finding something of value, to which he did. 3 miles out of town, Ed Shefflin was prospecting. He ran into something that looked good, but he needed a second opinion. So he took the sample with him, headed up north to find his older brother Albert, who was in Signal, Arizona, doing similar work. Now, when he made it all the way up there, what do older brothers do? They tease us, huh? So Albert took this rock from Ed and said, hey fellas, check it out. My baby brother walked all the way up here for nothing but low-grade ore. What a loser. Let's lay into him. So in the commotion of teasing poor Ed, it piqued the interest of a man walking by the name of Richard Gerd. He was a smart man. He came from Michigan. He was a mining engineer and a metallurgist, so he knew what he was talking about. He asked Ed to take a peek at this rock and told everybody else to hush, to be quiet. It was not low-grade ore. It was, in fact, high-grade silver, bling, bling. They took it to an assay office. They're the people that use chemicals and scales to break down a rock, tell you what it is and what it's valued at per ton. So the first test came back and it was $40 per ton. That's decent, that's average of the time. The second test came back $2,000 per ton. Now that's high. High enough Richard Gerd quit his job. Albert quit making fun of Ed. It was now his favorite baby brother. So that first claim turned into a mine that only got 6 feet deep. That ain't that deep for a mine, is it? Well, they ran out of ore. That's rocks, that's material. And Richard and Albert ran out of aspirations, that's hope. But not Ed. He was an optimist. That means he believed he'd find more silver. Guess what he did? I'll show it to you. Let's head down. Come on, y'all. We're in 38 active mines. Out of those, 26 were major bullion producers. From those, 19 belonged to Richard, Kurt, Albert, and Ed. When the 3 sold, they each made $600,000, which is $18 million in today's time. Can I get a yeehaw?
Yeehaw.
And y'all, be careful of the rocks that can roll, so just be mindful of your step.
Hence rock and roll. Probably not going to need these.
No.
Right, y'all? That's the original entrance with the light coming through, and that's the original exit with the ladder, all right? And again, if you guys do want to put your souvenirs down here, no one's going to jack them if you like them. All right. So, welcome to the Good Enough. She is a pristine mine, meaning we've done a little tour. We've added guardrails, lighting, and some stairs. All right, y'all, this is what you call an incline shaft. This was the original exit and entrance for the muckers.
Oh,
But if you look to the side, y'all, they were crawling out on this rock face. So this is the original exit and entrance for them, but they did not have the staircase. So they were crawling out on this rock, y'all. They had 100 pounds of rocks on their back in a burlap sack. Their shoes were crummy, flat, held together with nails, no traction. They did not wear hard hats like you and I. They wore big fluffy black felt hats dipped in wax. It's quite the daunting staircase, isn't it? Yeah. But at least we're not crawling out of it, right?
yeah, the problem is you gotta go back up.
Yeah, right. All right, y'all, welcome to the mine. Now that we're in it, we'll use vocabulary that a miner would use. We're standing in a stope, so you call a room a stope in the mines. The walls are called ribs, and the ceiling is a back. A drift is a hallway that connects 2 mines together. In modern day mines, they might use large fans to try to blow that cooler air to the lower levels, but in our mine, these drifts act as air shafts, so essentially she breathes. It's 68, 69 degrees in the Good Enough year round. Feels good, don't it? Now there's a legendary drift, a notorious one. I'll point it out and then I'll tell you the story. Follow me. We're walking. They figured out if you called through that drift long enough, you could pop up smack dab in the center of the Crystal Palace's liquor room. So 2 things I want to say about that. A, they ruined the fun for us. And B, does that not boggle your mind? Now that you're up there eating, drinking, shopping, having a good time, you were walking over 520 miles of mining tunnels. The whole dang town is a silver mine. Who knew, right? All right, y'all, so there's a learning rock, watch your head, and then there is a speed bump. Here in the mine is a vein. That's a streak of material that's worth money. That's what you're mining out. So everybody sees this black rock all lit up. If you follow my finger, that's a vein. Would anybody like to guess what this black rock is?
Ore?
That's a good guess. I mean, it is. But where are we?
Coal. I was gonna say coal.
Coal is black, that's true. What kind of mine are we in?
Silver.
How the Dario, y'all are geniuses. This is your silver. Now I'll tell you how it turns into that shiny, bright white metal we know as silver today before the tour is over. And I'll show you high-grade silver. It sparkles mightily. But for right now, this black is your silver chloride with your manganese oxide on the wall. It was an effective way to get the scrap rock out of your path, and it was in an effort to support the back of the mine, the ceiling. All right, y'all, so if we look over here, though, boom, bam, there is a lot of unfinished business, a lot of unfinished walls. That's because they realized rather quickly this is a hard rock mine. If you look about, little support is needed. So much so in 1870 there was an earthquake, rumble, rumble, 7.2 on the Richter scale. Buildings were leveled over our heads. The miners down below had little to no idea. They thought perchance somebody's blasting in a nearby mine. We've also been rated as a bomb shelter. I like you guys call me. I'll save you stoke. What we call the valley. We're currently standing under a geological formation called the fissure. Be careful, babe, because all those rocks could come tumbling down on you. All right? So just be mindful. All right, guys, so a fissure is a crack in the ground due to immense pressure that water continually gets through somehow. If we put on our imagination caps, a fissure reminds me of a ripe plum, where the skin gets tight and the flesh pops out. So put that in your mind's bank while we look down here. And I'm sorry, you might have to crouch down, my bad. So you guys have to hold on to the rocks real quick, you can, to crouch down. So the rocks over here look different. They're different colors, different textures. It's called sedimentary rock and strata layers. Y'all see this pretty clear gray one right there? All right, y'all, so we had a geologist come down here, and they sampled this rock. And what they found in it was microscopic fossils that rate this part of our mine as a 100-million-year-old seabed, like that of the Grand Canyon. Arizona was ocean for billions of years, particularly this landscape. Did y'all know that we're standing where an ocean used to be, babe? Can you believe that? This is 100 million-year-olds. That's before the dinosaurs. Holla! All right, guys. So the foreman down here knew that they were working under a fissure, and the precautions were needed. We all know what a seismograph is. Measures earthquakes, right? Vibrations in the ground. Here's an 1800 silver mine seismograph. Boom, boom. The foreman shoved boards into the fissure, y'all. If they fell out, well, good night, Irene. None of us would be here. But they measure them every morning, and if there was movement, it would not be safe to work, right? I'm happy to report in my early morning mine inspections, I too see no movement. And if we heard any rumblings, I know where all the exits are. And I take tips. I know that you're all here on vacation, right, John? So I hate to do this to you. But I have a math problem. So you're given a candle for the shift, one candle. This candle would burn for only 6 hours. What's the problem?
Work a 10-hour shift.
Boingo, Silver Star students. So you'd be working a 10-hour shift, meaning you'd be in the pitch dark for 4 hours. We're about to see that look because it was too expensive in our mind, and you had to ration it for a light. Working in the pitch dark at some point off of muscle memory for 4 hours. Will you turn that light off, babe? Because we're gonna make it black in here. So if you want, there you go, babe. All right. So you come to work, you find your tools. As soon as we're done with this, you can put it back on. All right. You find your tools, you find your foreman, and then he tell you where to start taking material out the rock face. You get down there, stick your candle in, get to business. So a 10-hour shift would be 20 to 22 holes drilled in a row, blasted out by a foreman. All right, guys, if you have electronic watches, could you cover them? Those two on the bench. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, y'all, the 4 hours would look like this. Dang. Wow. So remember, when your hand hits the rock, you move over 2 inches, developing a pattern of rhythm. Yeah, babe, they'd be working in this like this for 4 hours, kiddos. Can you imagine? That is pitch dark, ain't it? Mm. You can turn your little light back on, babe. All right, y'all. So, I'm going to show you this right here. So, family, there's a football-shaped indentation in this rock. You see that, kids? Follow my finger, okay? That's that football-shaped indentation. So this is 20 to 22 holes drilled in a row. Blah, 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 blah. And then that foreman comes around and fills all those holes with blasting powder. And then each of those holes gets a cap with a fuse and it's blasted out. This football-shaped indentation stands as 10 hours of work only. If that's 10 hours of work only, I wonder how long it took for us to get to where we are right now. Because ever since we walked through that metal gate, everything we've gone through used to be solid rock. We're only making our way through because these miners hand drilled it out, babe, and carried it out on their backs. Isn't that why, kids? So I become fatigued and could not talk. Crash, clang, bang. It was too loud, like deafening loud. So how did they communicate on the double jack? Well, by the grace of God, you had candlelight your whole shift. The dot at the end of this drill bar would glow in this candlelight, all right? So this is what they would use. So when you're tired, it's time to switch out places. You let your partner know after that last whack by simply hoo-cha, covering the dot up. But imagine if you moved your hand 2 seconds too late, y'all. That's what they call minor surgery. Ow. So these young men got paid very well. They got paid $4 a day. This doesn't seem like much, but in comparison, it was. In Army Caps, everybody was checked up top by their foreman, all right? They were assessing you before you entered the mine for handshakes, tremors, blurred vision. And it wasn't always because of drunkenness or alcohol consumption. We found out later that some of these symptoms came from something far, far worse, called mad miner's disease. So you had a 10-hour shift. You only have 1 lunch break, okay? A favorite of our miners was a can of peaches or beans. We found these down here. They're lunch cans, so they are artifacts. As I pick up their lunch can, y'all, I will show you a silver ring and plug at the base of it. That's enough lead to cast a .45 caliber bullet, and I'd frankly rather take that bullet more humane. Mad miner's disease turned out to be severe heavy metal lead toxic poisoning. Not a fun way to go. These guys were slurping down the juice of the peaches and beans, and the cans were sealed with lead. Ouch. That's where some of those shakes came from, the mad miner's disease, all right? Now, there's something worse that they're exposed to down the way that I'll tell you about, but you might start mining at the age of 15, and your life expectancy rate will be 30 to 35 years of age, all right? All right, guys? So, I'm going to lighten the mood by turning the lights off again, okay? This time, I'll have a black light. And we brought this down here to show you something cool. The candles that we use for our demonstration are similar to the ones the miners use. It's tallow, y'all. That's animal fat. So it also glows in the black light, okay? So these are the candle wax drippings from our demonstration. This is from us, y'all. But as I move up, this is not from us, and neither is this. These are the candle wax drippings of those men working in our mine 140 years ago. Is that not cool, y'all? So obviously the spray paint's for modern safety concerns, but these drippings are from them working our mine all the way back then. My coworker says we should have all black bike tour. I told her that's a rave, babe. Not a good idea. All right, y'all, so picture this as solid rock, okay, as it once was. So you come to work as a driller, and you have a little ledge that you sit on, tapping away. So each 10-hour shift would be that football-shaped indentation, right, tapped out, and then blasted out, and then mucked up out here on the second shift. So 5 days a week, 100 men a day, 20 years. That's how we got to where we are, right? All right, y'all, we're going to have to build momentum, as you see. We got to, right? And then I'm tall, so I duck this whole corridor. In the next room, we're going to take turns leaning over the corridor. We're taking a swooping look at a holy moly. All right, kids, you see this hole? We were a vertical shaft mine. That means we were a one-way street. So when material went up, they call it a rise. When material went down, you call it a winds hole. So that's a winds hole, baby. If we're at work, we'd have coworkers in that hole, hon. We'd be dropping them down rocks carefully. They'd be collecting those rocks on this layer beneath us, putting them into an ore cart, and then pushing on over to a rise hole where the steam-powered mule would take it on up. We had multiple steam-powered mules above our heads at this time. But this is one of the holes that gets down as far as 450 feet, y'all. If we're at work, we'd be on the third level of our mine, meaning there'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layers beneath us, hon. The last 2 hit the water table, so they're untrekkable. Water sits there. We are in the deepest part of our tour. We are 110 feet underground right now, and we're directly under that Rose Bush Museum. There's people over our heads saying, "Hey, Bill, hey, Sue, want a croissant?" Negotiate and laugh. Weird, huh? Now, if you don't know where the Rose Bush is, babe, 2 blocks away. So if you all kind of stand in this general area, however you need to get up on there, you guys do what you need to do, all right? So this is the hydrothermal vent shaft, all right? I don't know how far back it goes, but they expanded upon it because they could tell by the hot water that it left behind these sparklies, which is gypsum, okay? So hot water gushed up out of here, and they also created this formation on the ground called a vug. It's like a bug, but with a V. It's a naturally formed gypsum geode. So the hot water would swirl up in there, okay, guys? Cool, huh? I'll have you kind of all over there. I think the miners left it. Take selfies or whatever you need. All right, come on, pretty, huh? Right? Looks almost biological.
A little sparkly.
Right? All right, you guys, we're going to trot down this hill. At the base of it, I'm going to show you high-grade silver. Once you see it, press on to the next room. And if you have to hold yourself up here, you can, okay? Right about here is the high-grade silver. It looks like black gold. That's what my coworkers say, but I say dark starry night. If you kind of step this way, your whole group can go. Thanks, bud. You're good there. So who knows? High-grade silver is still black, but it sparkles, y'all. So right here's a good amount of it, bud. So again, it glitters, it sparkles because the ore content's higher. So when you bust it down chemically, you get more bang for your buck. All right, y'all. We'll see you in the next room. Have a seat. Go that way. Hey, family. So here's this high-grade silver. Picture all these rocks, tons of them, accumulating as piles above our heads on the surface. So these rock piles on the surface would be picked up by large wagons. These wagons were pulled by teams of 20 horses, donkeys, and mules. It was equipped to handle all this heavy stuff. You need a lot of water to process silver, and at this time, the mighty San Pedro River used to flow freely. But that's a whole nother tour. Anytime you drove over a bridge to get here, I'm assuming you drove over our dry riverbed. That's a whole nother tour. Yeah, right? Now put on your imagination caps and picture that river flowing freely with water. So during this time, on the banks of it was the town of Charleston. It served as a silver processing mill. So the first step is you get to Charleston, you unload a rock about this big. So you load up these wagons, right? They take them down to the river. The mill, the first step is one of these rocks would go through 2 steel jaws, crushing it till it gets about this size. This is low-grade silver. Would anybody like to hold it? You can if you'd like. Anybody? No? All right. Into 180-pound molds or each. Why so heavy? You gonna behave? Anti-theft device. Everyone's trying to rob from you in the Wild West, right? So a bar of gold is just that, a bar. Or silver was poured into a large dome shape, so it ends up looking like a big old gumdrop. I got a replica up top. I'll show you before you head out, all right? Nonetheless, Cooper looked pretty silly trying to waddle off into the desert or something that heavy to load. If you tried to steal our silver on a wagon, good luck, Chuck. This stuff was so heavy on purpose it would bust down your wagon within 2 days. We talk about wagons. Here come some bigger, badder, better ones. The wagons I came to pick up are beautiful silver. Must have been a sight to see. For these wagons could hold up to 12 tons themselves. That's a lot, ain't it? So you load up these wagons with our beautiful silver, and they would take the day trip to the town of Fairbanks, Arizona. Fairbanks, Arizona is no longer a day away. It's only a hop and a skip away. And I recommend it to cool people that like cool things. So put it in your Palm Pilot. Fairbanks, Arizona. It was the original railroad town before Benson was here, and it is a well-maintained ghost town. Cool, so check it out, y'all, if you're into that. Fairbanks. So you guys, when the train was there, you loaded up with silver, and they would head east. Chugga chugga choo-choo, Paso, Paso, all the way to New Orleans. We're all not like that Sherman Act for whatever reason. U.S. So McKinley redacted that bill. Huh. He rescinded that bill. Huh. He dropped the silver standard, making only gold, and at that time the price of silver plummeted to 24 cents per ounce. So every silver mine in America went the way of the ghosts. But in Tombstone, we had a shootout. So we made a movie. We had a shootout. So we made a movie about it. Then we made another one. It helped us stay relevant. Now, my boss has told me this really did kill all the silver mining in America, what happened here, right? It's all done overseas, China, India, okay? So that's because it's more cost effective. You don't have to abide by the environmental laws or the labor laws either, okay? So if it were to become viable to mine silver again in America, we have it here, y'all, gobs of it. But modern day practices are open pit. So that's 2 steel jaws, babe. Wham, bam, taking out the lamb. There goes the fair city of Tombstone now that we know she's a silver mine. And I don't know about y'all, but as I stand down here and I look at all the hard work these gentlemen put forth in front of our faces, I think you put a price tag on that. So luckily I work for people with the same sense of integrity. And as far as I know, it will remain a tourist attraction. Heck, a museum for you and your brethren. Now that's all I got. There's 2 more things I want to show you up top, but until we get there, y'all have any questions? It's a lot of content. Y'all doing the trolley ride? Trolley ride?
No.
All right. We rent the right of the mold. It's like concrete now. But this is the shape of it, babe. So it looks like a gumdrop, eh? All right, guys, there's somebody that made more money than anybody. They made $5 a day, and they handled a large ladle called a honey dipper. And they scooped out the business from here. The honey wagon. Anybody want to guess what this is? It's your portable bathroom. It's a 2-seater. Now, y'all know that term, don't yank my chain? It comes from this. Nothing's even underground, so the feller that'd be pushing that from pit stop to pit stop. And to leave it in place on those rails would have a large block of wood. You put it in between the wheels. On that large block of wood would be a long chain. And that's all I got, y'all. Bye, kids. You got that until you go all the way up?
Well, that was a pretty cool tour. What do you think?
Yeah.
Cool tour?
Yeah, I'm glad we did
Pretty
that.
cool.
Yep.
I just wish we had something that she was on.
Yeah.
Yeah, the crack.
She's definitely on something.
Because whatever she was on, I want some. But no, that was fun. It was a good tour. Lots of information. Well worth it. I've seen enough Tombstone for today. Gotta go back and let the puppies out. So, till the next one, that's all.